on live. I never say that, so I thought I'd change what I said at the beginning because change is good, right? So yeah, thank you for tuning in live, and also thank you if you have been loyal and tuned in for other of our talks. So today, episode 19, we're almost at our 20th. Welcome, Tom.
Hello. Don't forget to ask people if they like our stuff. Give us a like, because that tells the algorithm. Basically, I imagine it's a bit like Skynet in the future that's going to kill us in some sort of. It's like that. It tells the algorithm.
I watched Terminator 2 the other day.
It's great, isn't it? So yeah, give us a like, or even, do you know what? If you love it, give us a love, because I think that's I like a little heart as well.
Yeah, a like, a share, a comment. Something that resonates, something that stood out that you learn, a takeaway, put it in the comments, because obviously it's nice for us to see, but also helps more people see what we're doing, and that's only going to help more people because we feel like we're giving a lot of value here. So yes, episode 19, we're going to talk about the importance of sleep, why we need it, why certain people struggle to get it, and what to do if you struggle, and also how much you should be getting. So yeah, let's kick off with why do we need it? It's always important to look at the why first, isn't it? So what are your thoughts, Tom? Obviously, we've got some real science behind this, but we're going to give you science and our thoughts too.
Yeah, it's the main thing is your body needs time to recover and process. I guess physically it's recovery, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm not a brain scientist, but I imagine the brain, it's about sorting the stuff out in your head that's happened during the day. And I don't know whether it's true or not, but somebody told me once that a baby's brain is really smooth when they're born. Right. And then as they generate memories and stuff and the brain starts working, that's where it gets all lumpy and bumpy. Do you know what? I haven't even checked that fact out, but do you know what?
It sounds like it could be true. Let's just go with it's true, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. And I think probably the reason why, it was prompted a little bit about some stuff we were talking about, wasn't it? And about a comment you got. But I think it's often the forgotten element of health and fitness. But it's all important. But it's very, very important that we are getting enough quality sleep, and I suppose we'll get onto enough.
Yeah, it's massively overlooked, like massively, and we're going to get into this. But I think if there's one thing you can do which will pretty much change your life, is making sure you're getting enough quality sleep. Like that will change. There's one thing you can do. Like, don't worry about the food in the gym. Like, I'm not saying they're not good, but if there's one thing you can do, one lever to pull, it's going to make the biggest difference. Is you sort your sleep out, and suddenly the food becomes easy and the gym becomes easier. It's literally fundamental, and it's so underutilized.
Yeah, definitely, it's an underutilized lever, isn't it? But I mean, even if. Because I've got two kids, and I remember when my kids first arrived in it, and suddenly you think, how am I coping without this amount of sleep? And I suppose my wife had it worse because she had to get up and feed them at the beginning, which and you physically look older and you feel older for that time. I mean, it's like if you see somebody who's got newborn children. Remember one guy turned up at Christmas and he looked really tired. And
don't you?
Yeah, he had his jumper on backwards and inside out. I was like, how are the kids? He's like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, you see it. So yeah, obviously it's a massive lever that we, ideally you want to get that figured out if you're going to change anything. It's so fundamental. But yeah, getting into the why. And we're going to move through this. We want to make sure we give you some action points to work on. And so the why, obviously, you said, like, it repairs. Our brains actually work a lot whilst we're asleep. Our brains actually work a lot whilst we're asleep. So we rest, we recover, we repair muscles, but we also repair the brain. And, and that's when, we're then refreshed and ready to go for the next day. So it's brain repair, it's muscle repair, it's just laying there, body repair, like slowing down. So that's the why we do it. And then the added benefits of that is that we, less illness and things like that, like less lower mood and more energy. So there's sort of like the outcomes and the benefits of if you're getting quality sleep. And also we'll go into some more of those, but it's mainly for like what we probably all know, rest and recovery. So if you're not resting and recovering enough, then of course you're going to have some problems going forwards.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know if I'm tired, my decision making processes are definitely different, and I won't make. I find it harder to make the right decisions, and I would say I'm not an overly emotional person, but my emotions are definitely changed through when if I'm tired,
Yeah.
and if I don't know if you're tired and you're feeling kind of down or whatever, you probably think about health and making the right choices. Sometimes it's hard to make the right choices. Um, Sat in the office and cake arrives, which every day. Which if you're in an office, most offices have like a cake table, don't they? And you
Yeah.
don't want it, and you're trying to lose weight and you don't have it. And you've actually had your lunch and you've actually had a bit of pudding already and a bit of fruit or whatever it is. And this massive bit of cake arrives, and you find it hard to make the decision that you want to make, which is you don't want to. But it's like I don't have the bandwidth and the capacity to make that decision. So definitely my decision making is changed if I'm tired.
For me, it's definitely decision making in terms of the food, and that's science as well. Though, by the way, like that actually is a hormone that happens in your body. So we have ghrelin and leptin. I think ghrelin regulates appetite. Leptin tells you when you're full. So those two don't work properly once you've had bad sleep. So you're basically in a recipe for disaster, pun intended, by the way, of you don't know when you're full and you don't know when you're satisfied and you're not regulating your appetite basically. And what they did is they did a study, and I think we shared this a little bit last week. We wanted to really dig in on this sleep one today. Of they did a study of I don't know like thousands of people, and they give certain group broken sleep and a certain group good night sleep, and the group of bad sleep basically ate 26% more food the next day.
Wow.
Which is a lot of extra food. So imagine doing that day by day by day by day by day. It's so easy to see how you can put on weight by not getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hear I've done it myself, but also I hear quite regularly people feel tired, so they'll try and you try and eat more. You try and think, right, I'm going to eat something that I know it's going to give me an energy hit.
Yeah,
I'm going to have a bag of sweets because I know that's going to give me sugar straight away, and I need it. And those decisions you wouldn't make if you were refreshed, and if you were.
well, you wouldn't need it.
No, you wouldn't need it. Yeah, exactly.
You basically wouldn't need it, and also your body craves it. It literally craves it. So when you're underslept, you crave higher fat foods, you crave higher carbohydrate foods, so higher sort of sugars, and you also crave higher carbs, higher sugars, higher fat foods, higher energy foods. You literally crave it. So it's just like I said, it's going to be a real struggle if you're not sleeping well. It's going to have an impact on your food. And then also, if you're not eating good food, you're tired already. So your mood's going to be down there. It's just literally I said it the other day, a bit of a cluster F.
Yeah. Well, there's also cortisol as well. If you're not sleeping well, your body's a bit more stressed, so cortisol levels are higher. Cortisol again, it's been proven to make you hold on to weight if you are trying to lose it. So
then add testosterone levels going down because you're not getting good sleep.
Yeah, so, I mean, and again for us guys, in terms of maintaining a lean body as we get older, testosterone it goes down naturally, and it's one of those things that as it goes down, that lean body is harder to maintain. So there's quite a lot of things, isn't there, when we talk about? But
sleep's huge.
Yeah,
like it's huge. It's like, and also if you look at it, like, you know, we have 24 hours in a day. You're probably ideally, and this is what you should be looking at, 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep. Why would you not prioritize it? It's a third of your day. Right? It's a third of your day. There's a reason why we need so much, because that's our body's recovery, replenish, all those things we've talked about. Like, it's a third of your day. So obviously it's important, right? Yet we don't necessarily think about it as being that important. Yeah. I'll catch up with it at the weekend, which you actually can't. You can't do that, by the way. You can't catch up at the weekend. It's impossible.
You can't catch up on sleep. That's another thing about having children. They say, like, get your sleep bagged while you can. Can't do it. The only way to catch up with sleep is actually sleeping more. You have to, and so if you lose a bit of sleep, you actually never catch up with it unless you actually do that.
Yeah. You can't basically have 5 nights bad sleep and then sleep for 20 hours at the weekend and catch up. It doesn't work like that.
No. But you touched on the amount of time we need. I was listening to something about sleep recently, and they actually talked about it's actually more important how you feel. Because it's like there is like a standard. I guess there's a standard thing same as like calories. It's standard this on all packaging. Is it 2,000 for guys? It's like a standard stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the 6, 7, or 8. Is that the standard sleep that's recommended?
7 to 8, but it has to be good quality, and you'd only know that if he's really getting into some depth with some sort of trackers. But yeah, and obviously it's important how you feel. But also the other thing is you should be asleep within half an hour as well. So you shouldn't ideally be tossing and turning, because then it's going to be broken sleep.
Yeah, and kind of waking up in the morning and assessing how you feel is important. Do I feel like I've had a good night's sleep? And the same study said that was actually the best indicator of whether you're getting enough was actually how you actually felt. If you woke up all groggy and not feeling great, then you didn't have a good night's sleep. Whether an app said anything or not, whether you tracked it, the most important indicator they found was how you feel about it. So trust your feelings. I think that's maybe
because that's important as well, because no one's going to know how you feel and how you slept. It's only you. And also, I think what people tend to do, and we'll get onto this in a little bit more, is like they take stuff and they do things to help them sleep. Like people go, "Oh, I can't sleep without booze," or "I can't sleep without, whatever the tablet is." And the podcast I listened to, this guy the other day, is like a sleep doctor, who's awesome. It was like, all you're actually doing, we said this last week, is you're just sedating yourself. So you're not actually getting good quality sleep. You're just knocking yourself out. And if you ever have those days where you've knocked yourself out, especially alcohol, I've had a few of them, you always wake up knackered.
Yeah, it's not good.
I think sometimes I've slept for like 10, 12 hours, but because I've just knocked myself out with booze, never wake up refreshed. I wake up flipping knackered.
Yeah, and I suppose I know what. I think we all the what to do to get better sleep. I think everyone knowing we can say.
Yeah, let's do that. But let's look at, just before we get into that, like, what are the things why do people struggle?
Yeah, I think people get into habits. And I know quite a lot of people get into the habit of it's a habit of staying up late.
Yeah,
kids go to sleep. I know quite a few people that their partners will go to sleep early and they'll stay up and they'll be flicking through our little friend here and kind of getting that habit of overstimulating themselves in the evening.
Yeah.
And I think it is a habit, and I doubt many people want to stay up really late flicking through Facebook. I don't think so.
There's an element of just unwinding, for an hour or two when the kids are going to sleep, and just having that time, which is important. That's cool. But if you're looking at getting past, I don't know, like 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock, and then you're up at 5 or 6, you're only having 5 or 6 hours, that's going to have a massive effect. So I think, overstimulation. But I think the reason that happens is because that sort of downtime that everyone probably needs to unwind, but it's looking at, okay, if that is what you need, what can you do before so you can get to that downtime earlier and not be up at 12, 1, flicking through Netflix or whatever, and then complaining that you're knackered the next day. It's like, well, what do you expect?
It's definitely habit. If I think so, my wife and I, we go up to sleep at the same time, and we always have. So, but when she's out, I stay up later and I'll watch crap.
Yeah.
And there's no reason. The only thing I can think of it's just the habit. I'm so used to doing all those things together that when she's not there, it's totally different. And then I always regret it. I always go, why did I stay up watching rubbish? And half the time on these streaming things, I watch the same thing again, and I get 40 minutes in, and I think, I've watched this already. So, I mean, obviously you didn't watch it the first. I didn't kind of engage with it the first time. So,
that's interesting. Just like whilst you're on that. So we also have different sort of sleep cycles. And people say like morning bird or night owl. It's genuinely true. So you might be in a relationship, not you exactly, but people might be in a relationship, and you might be, always a morning person. I quite like getting up in the mornings. And actually my ex was much more of a night owl. She'd happily be up till 12 and then lay in till, I don't know, 8, 9 or 10, like absolutely fine. That would be her sleep cycle. Whereas me, I'd much rather be in bed at like 10, sleep by 10:30 and up at about 6:30, 7. It's just that cycle I had. So that's another thing that can challenge you. So say, for example, I've gone to bed early, then she comes in 2 hours later, that wakes me up. Or in the morning, she needs those couple of extra hours and I'll wake her up. Then you're suddenly getting more broken sleep. And that was something I learned new the other day.
So that's, I mean, I'm gonna do some research on this, because I always, before I met my wife, I considered myself to be a night staying up late and going to bed and getting up late, going to bed late, going to bed up late. You know what I mean? So I consider myself that person, mainly because that's how my pet. I think how we grew up. My parents stayed up late and we stayed up later and we got up later. So, but when my wife and I got together, she's a teacher. She used to get up early. So if I didn't get up early, I wouldn't see her. Literally, I would not see her till 6 p.m. in the evening. So I had, if I wanted to see it, I had to change, and I did. And it's not always easy, but I am changed now.
Your cycles changed.
Yeah. So I'm going to do some research on this myself to see whether we can change, because I think sometimes it could be, I don't know, it could be one of those stories that we tell ourselves. Oh, I can't go to sleep till a certain time.
Yeah,
I can't get up early. I definitely need more sleep than my wife, I would say.
Yeah, and everyone needs different amounts as well, I think. But if you're looking at like a blanket, like 7 to 8 is really important and good. People that sort of go, I can survive on 4 or 5. And the guy gave an example of, and then also we're going to get onto what to do. And also, again, going back to why it's so important, they've done a lot of research recently, and this is really scary, is that if you're not getting good quality sleep, and if you take anything from this is huge, onset dementia and Alzheimer's is accelerated. The chance of getting it by not getting a good night's sleep. Much more chance of getting it. And if you look at someone like Margaret Thatcher, I think she was notorious for only sleeping 4 hours. I don't know exactly what her diagnosis was. Don't know if she had Alzheimer's or dementia, but he basically said that there's no coincidence how these people that have notorious getting little sleep will also die relatively early. So that's, to me, I was like, fuck, that's scary.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So yeah,
well, the thing is, it's still new. We're still learning so much about the brain and sleep. We didn't know what we knew 10 years ago, let alone 30, 40 years ago. So it's still new. All these things are coming out. But when I heard that, I was like, okay, that stops you.
It's another reason, isn't it? It's
yeah.
What are we gonna? What do you think? How can we help people here? I've got my number one.
Yeah. So look, obviously, yeah. I mean, I reckon we've probably got both the same number one. But I think we've covered enough. Why do we need it? What do people struggle with? I think alcohol's definitely one. Sedating it, overstimulation, not getting into a good sleep routine. That means going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time.
You like routine? As children need routine, and adults need routine.
And then, not having the right temperature in the room and having the room dark and devices too close, all these things. So they're like all the reasons people struggle. Now, let's give you some stuff to do. So I reckon we've both probably got the same one, but let's see. What's yours then?
I don't think we will.
No? Okay, go on.
So as a bit of background, when I worked offshore, I don't think I had a good night's sleep for at least 7 years, because I was so out of. Well, no, that's a lie. I'm lying. I would have done, but if I had a good night's sleep, it was like, fucking, I had a good night's sleep. It was a surprise.
Yeah. So, when you was offshore though, was that a time when you did struggle with your weight as well?
Yeah, my weight wasn't good. I wasn't healthy. Yeah. Shift patterns, night shifts, day shifts, going back and forth, traveling a lot. So if I had I just kind of almost given up having a good night's sleep. And if I had one good night's sleep, I'd wake up and go, whoa, I've had a good night's sleep.
What's mad, actually? You say that, almost giving up on having a good night's sleep. I think some people, I've spoken to so many clients, and I always ask them how they sleep. Oh, yeah, it's not great, but I'm all right with that. Sorry? I've dealt with it. I'm okay with it. I never sleep well. What, for how long? Oh, probably about 20 years. So there's a thing in your life that's super important. You just accepted you're just never going to sleep well.
I did. I mean, I was similar. Yeah, I just thought it was just one of those things, and I'm all right. But I would say one of the main things for me. So I think it's going to be different.
Okay.
It might not be meditation.
I was going to go with exercise, but yeah.
So with meditation and breathing, because I used to wake up a lot in the middle of the night, and then be like, oh fuck, I'm awake. I can't. Oh, I have to get sleep. I have to get sleep. And it would just be a self-fulfilling prophecy that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
with the breathing practice mainly the breathing and meditation and focusing on one thing, which obviously is your breath in and out, that means that I could eventually, it took a bit of practice. I was able, when I woke up, it'd be like, oh, it's okay. I've woken up.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'll just do this and then I'll be back asleep.
Basically coaching yourself back to sleep.
Yeah. Rather than waking up thinking shit. And that was directly, I was unexpectedly, that was directly from meditative practice. And it was just me thinking, right, turning, because the idea about, I guess, with meditation, you're trying to clear your mind. You can never not think about anything. You can never totally be blank, but you're trying to clear your mind of all the thoughts.
So you concentrate on one thing, don't you?
Yes, it usually might be my breathing.
Yeah.
And there was one, it was on, what's it called? Headspace or something.
Yeah.
And basically you count down from 1,000 slowly with your breaths. And that's all you do. And when my mind, and it's funny because my mind would kind of drift, but I wouldn't notice it would drift for a few seconds.
Yeah.
Like I'm counting, and then it'd be like, oh no, I'm thinking about something. Oh, how strange. What number was on? Okay, right, counting.
Yeah, because we all know, like, again, going back to why people struggle, if you're thinking about something, you've got all these things going on, you're going to struggle to sleep because you're not quiet in your mind. So yeah, learning to meditate and getting into a meditative state and knowing what to do when you wake up. So it is count my breath. Instead of my mindset going, I need to sleep. Oh, 5 hours, 4 hours. You know, you're never going to get back to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah,
mine was exercise because I think, you know, in today's sort of world and society, we don't really do things that make us tired, do we? So much like we used to.
Maybe mentally tired, but that's not quite the same, I don't think.
Well, yeah, no, and also if you've got loads of things going on when you're trying to sleep, you want to quiet in your mind. So if you're mentally tired, which means lots of things going on, you're going to struggle to sleep. So yeah, exercise is huge. I'm sure you see it with so many clients. We see it like suddenly they move more, they exercise more, and funny how sleep improves. Yeah. Not all the time, you know, there's still some processes, but a lot of the time when you move your body more, you improve sleep. And also exercise reduces stress, which reduces anxiety and lifts mood. So that's, you know, again, that all goes in together.
Yeah. I suppose it's a matter of I don't know, committing to it in being important and saying, actually, my sleep isn't good. And I think anybody that's not sleeping well out there listening, watching will know that. They'll be like, I know I should be sleeping more.
Yeah.
Honest. So I suppose there's an element of going, do you know what, this is important. And like you said right at the beginning, if you make one change to your health that has massive bang for its buck, even if it was in isolation, this is one of those ones, isn't it?
Yes, literally, like absolutely huge, and that's why I thought it'd be really good to do a talk about sleep today. So it's massive, and like I said at the top, you know, if there's one thing you can do that's going to have a huge impact on your health, it's sleep, and it's just so overlooked and just accepted. I don't sleep well. Like I've always been relatively, I say lucky, but you know, there's processes and things I do, and I hold myself accountable to going to bed at a certain time, literally like a good school kid. But I know how important sleep is, and I know I'm going to be in not a great mood the next day. I know my energy levels are going to be low, and I know all these things that aren't going to be good for me. I'm not going to be able to do the things I want to do. So I think we got to move away from accepting it, because if there's other things going on in your life that weren't working, maybe it's your business that weren't working, you wouldn't just accept it, would you? And sleep's 1/3 of your life. So why are we accepting bad sleep for 1/3 of our life? Whereas if it is your business that weren't working, you're making no sales, you'd be like, right, we need to fix this problem. Yeah, we don't think about our sleep like that.
Yeah, like we can say maybe that it comes down to a lot of health related things is about where that value is in your life. Do I fully value my health and myself enough to look after it? And that can be a deeply rooted thing. Like you say, why?
Yeah.
Rationally, why wouldn't you?
If you want to improve every area in your life, improve your sleep, and literally everything will get better. But yeah, we want to give you a couple more things. So we've looked at meditation, which is an awesome practice. Looking at exercise. There's also some real just practical things like get outside. Is it the circadian rhythm? Like you get into a rhythm. Circadian rhythm. So you get that by getting out, get outside. So you get daylight in early too, and that really helps you sleep. And everyone should be doing that, right? That's an easy one. That's an easy
one
win.
thing about getting up earlier, again, part of me trying to move more and just see my wife more was me testing getting up earlier, and actually getting up earlier in stages and seeing, okay, how early can I get up? And I've actually found, I'm not getting up massively early. When do I get up now? I don't know, 5:30, which is not much.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel massively early. I suppose it does. Maybe it might to some people, but it doesn't feel massively early. But I think it's me testing out the times. I feel like I found a good time. I don't get up at 5:30 on a Saturday morning. That is definitely I don't do it then. But during the week, it means that I get to bedtime, and I think it's one of the things that helps me be tired. Actually, when I'm in my routine, and the routine lasts, I don't know, what do I do? We put the dog out, and then we go and do our teeth, and we say night to the kids, and then Kate and I have a chat, and I've got a book. I'll read a book, and I'll put I've got a sunlight alarm. Right, another thing I've just forgotten about. I've got a sunlight alarm clock. Now,
I've got one too.
I used to hate alarms. Like in the morning, it'd be like,
Talk about stress first thing when you wake up, hear an alarm like that.
I hate them. And I bought a cheap one first to test it out.
Yeah.
And it went on too bright at first, and it used to wake me up. And so my wife very kindly invested in a more expensive one, which just comes up gently like a sunrise.
Yeah.
Absolute game changer in terms of getting up in the morning. It's revolutionized my getting up in the morning,
especially with the winters we get that are dark and like seasonal effectiveness disorder. I think that's a genuine thing. I've definitely experienced it myself. So if that can help in the mornings, that's huge. And also, again, going into practical things like going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time, so you get into a good pattern and routine. And obvious things like having a comfy mattress and a comfy bed and a comfy pillow. It's like I've stayed at mates' houses before, and I'm just like, how do you sleep on that? And they're like, I don't. I'm like, wow, okay. Like things like that, and a cool temperature. I think it's better to be cooler in a room than hot, dark. All these things, like setting, almost like anything, you'd want to set yourself up for success, wouldn't you? In anything you did. So setting yourself up for having a successful night's sleep.
Yeah, and I suppose you could. The first thing you could have a little look around, get the low hanging fruit first. If you've got no routine, get a bit of routine in there. Right, say I'm going to go to bed at a certain time.
Get outside.
If you're not getting outside enough. I work in an office during the day quite a lot, and like today, I had to go and get my car, and I realised sometimes I don't go outside during the day. I'm like, what? Especially now when the sun comes out, and you feel like a sunflower absorbing the sun, and it makes you feel good. And you think, do you know what? That I have to do that.
So it's so important getting out into nature. So important. I think all these things, like the closer you kind of get to nature, the better things are, right? So getting out in nature, grounding yourself in wherever it is, like the grass or the sea, seeing daylight, a lot of these things help. A lot of the things that go on in our body, don't they? They help us to sleep better.
Yeah.
Foods we eat are all pretty much provided by the earth. It's all there for us. It's just whether or not we, have the bandwidth, to go, do you know what? I need to look at this problem and what can I do to solve it, basically. And by the way, we have a comment LinkedIn. So just saying, coming off a rough night myself, I struggle with quieting my mind before bed. Been trying to incorporate meditation right before I sleep and when I first wake up. So
that's it. And that if I don't know who says it, but that's that it won't be straight away. It's not like that. But do you know what? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Practicing it and committing to it and going, it's not going to be straight away, but this is worth it. And I absolutely guarantee whoever said that in 2 months, 6 months, whenever it is, when they look back and go, God, do you remember I used to struggle to get to sleep? Wow, what a change that is. And again, if you think about that person, it's that person would want to look back and say, thank you for committing to that, even though sometimes it felt like it wasn't working. That's an awesome thing. I like it.
Yeah, it genuinely really helps. And I'd also say if you're looking to quieten your mind and you've got stuff on the next day, get it down on paper. Like, do a brain dump. So hopefully you got all the things out. So if it's a to-do list the next day, if it's an idea, I always find I have my ideas when I'm about to go to sleep. It's like, come on. So I get them all down, and then I write them down in a notebook too, because I don't want to go on my phone. So I hold myself to like standards of like, well, I'm not going to go on my phone after 9 p.m.
I'll regularly wake up and I'll write something, because again it's taking practice. I'll quickly realize what I'm thinking about has to go down.
Yeah.
Whereas before, maybe it would take me a bit longer to realize that that I had to do this. So now I'll quite often, I don't know, it doesn't happen every week, but every couple of weeks, I'm like, I need to write this down. And my handwriting in the dark is sometimes very odd. And not straight, but
I can imagine you wake up the next day and like, that was such a good idea in my sleep. Like, I've got no idea what it is now.
I know. But that is your mind processing the day, and there's no surprise that a lot of kind of artists and scientists and people who've written films and books and characters have their best ideas at night, because their brain's gone, boom, I've worked that out, and I'm going to send you that now. It has to come out now.
Interesting, that. We were going to offer some sort of help, weren't we? We're going to do that.
Yes, we've, like I said, together we've made a little sleep program, haven't we? A bit of like more of a habit, 14-day habit routine. Again, it's all about habit. It's about kind of committing to it. So once we've finished it, should we drop a link in this, and we'll share it in our groups?
Yeah.
Just to help people out. We enjoy doing these things. We enjoy doing these talks, and definitely this seems to be, again, you got a comment this week and getting a comment as well. I mean, maybe there's a sign that actually this is something of interest to people.
Yeah, definitely of interest, and also like massively impactful. If you're looking to improve areas in your life, it can be a game changer. Like, seriously, because people go, yeah, well, I still do all right on 6 hours sleep, and I'm like, okay, you do all right. Can you imagine what you do on 7 or 8 really good hours sleep?
Yeah, absolutely, kind of bossing it.
Yeah. All right. Anyone that wants to get involved, we're going to do a program, 3-week program, is it, I think, and just really try to help you guys with your sleep. So if that's something you're interested in the comments, but obviously we'll be putting out on socials, and we'll go from there.
Right, man.
All right. Cheers, dudes.
Thanks, Michael.
Cheers, guys.